Guys, welcome to another episode, another truth bump. We are continuing from the last session, and there's been lots of conversations about, this all really does fall under manifestation. And by manifestation, what are we talking about? We're talking about manifesting the greatest version of you. Most people, the moment they hear that word manifestation, they're thinking about manifesting, the things they want to have and the things they want to do. But for me, real manifestation is about you becoming the person that you need to become, which is a greater version of you, in order to have some of the things that you want to have. So it's, again, when people look at manifestation, they're looking for what do I want to have? What do I want to do? But it really is about becoming the person, because even if you manifest the things that you so-called will make you happy in your life, to have these things or to do these things, none of those things you can keep unless you have the space or the capacity. In other words, you become the person that you need to become in order to do those things, in order to have those things. If you haven't become that person, then even if you have manifested, first of all, I think you will fail. But second of all, even if you did manifest in your life for whatever reason, what happens is you just create an attachment to that, and you start manipulating in order to keep that, because you don't feel deserving of that, because you haven't become the person that you need to become in order to have those things. So anyway, that's not what I'll come to talk to you about today, but that's just dropped in right now. So I guess I wanted to just share a little bit about that. So guys, today I want to talk about willingness. And this is it's a perfect place to pick up from last week and have this conversation about willingness. And I think it's a key, a requirement, ingredient in order for you to transform your reality, in order for you to become the greater version of yourself, in order for you to manifest. But before I get into dissecting this and peeling the layers back and really having this conversation with you, I think we probably should cover the difference between willingness and determination, because they're not the same, and they sometimes feel somewhat the same, but they're not driven from the same space. So, what comes to you when I say willingness? Like when I say, hey, you need to have the willingness, what comes to you? What is that? Why do you feel it is important for you to have the willingness? And if I say to you, you need to be determined, you need determination, how does that feel different to you from willingness? Before I actually go into this, how does that feel different? And look, you really want to kind of sit and reflect on it, and feel free to pause the video or the audio and reflect on it before you listen to or watch further. So I'll leave that up to your discretion if you want to just pause now and just, I'd encourage you to do that, actually, just because I don't want you to have an answer, like an intellectual answer. I just want you to see how does it feel different? We're just talking about two words, determination and willingness. How do those two words feel different? Do they feel different? Or am I going to share and then you will see and go, oh, well, actually, I'd never thought of it that way. very earlier on in my program, the WTF, I refer to the feeling, but I also refer to an emotion, and I distinguish the difference between those two. If you don't remember, the feeling is what resides within you. It comes through you. It's not a reaction to the story. It's there because it's there. There's no reason behind it. It's like you love someone because you love someone. If it's real love, there's no reason behind it. You love them, right? And anyone you have unconditional love for, you would relate to what I'm sharing there. So, but an emotion is a reaction. It's a reaction to your thinking. It's a reaction to your circumstances, to your story. It's a reaction to how you're perceiving something. And so therefore, it's part of cause and effect. So one is from formless, one is from form. So very different things. And I needed to distinguish the difference between those. So same goes with the willingness and determination. So you might have reflected on it by now and thought to yourself, well, what is the difference? Or how does it feel different? See, to me, I'll start with the big one, willingness. Willingness is required in order to manifest. And manifest is something that takes place when energy, which is formless, and that formless energy as a feeling, again, not an emotion, but as a feeling, which I refer to as the feeling. These days, the younger kids are referring it to as the feels. I've got the feels. So when that feeling begins to be expressed or begins to form itself, that then is manifestation. And, again, in the WTF, I refer to this as, I give a reference to this as getting you to think about the ocean. And I refer the ocean as being, infinite. It's a metaphor, right? Okay, because the ocean's really not infinite. We know that. But it's the closest thing that we have in our physical reality that's tangible. Then we can go, yeah, that's like, wow. It's like endless. Like you can't even, it's so big, right? So the ocean, when it manifests a part of itself into an iceberg, all it's doing is changing the form of the liquid into a solid. It's the same. When you have a feeling, it is formless, it is an energy, and as that energy begins to form itself into a physical reality, whether it's spoken in words or it's acted out or it's become some tangible experience or thing, that right there is manifestation. So what allows you to participate in that manifestation is your willingness. Now, here's the thing about willingness. And I say you need to be willing. It's not that you can muster up your willingness or grow your willingness or urge your willingness. I mean, you can do that with your determination. All right. You can give yourself some positive talk or reinforcement conversations or and you can become more focused and you can become determined. But with willingness, it's either there or it's not. You can't, and by the way, if the feeling is there, the willingness is there. So you don't then need to go, okay, I have this feeling, I need to now will it, because that's what happens. It's like you're willing it from within you to be expressed. Now, expressed doesn't need to be necessarily in words like I'm expressing now. It could be in a business plan. It could be in a solution. It could be through an idea, through some action. So expression is, however, like it could be visioned. You know, you have a vision. It could, like I said, it could be an action. It could be a response. So that's what when I use that word express, it's what you're doing is allowing it to come through you through the many ways that can come through you, through a vision, through hearing, like a sound, like not the sound physically, you know, when you have an internal sound, through your words, through your movements, through your action, you know. So that's what I mean by it being expressed through your thoughts, through your thinking. And by thinking, I'm not talking about that everyday thinking that you have, you know, the 60 to 90,000 thoughts or whatever it is that we have every day. No, I'm talking about the thought that arises that is creative, you know, that I commonly refer to as a pondering thought. Right. So through all these different means, you know, you have the opportunity to participate in that willingness. So, but what I wanted to say is that you don't need to sit there and go, okay, be willing. Come on, you've got it. It's not like that. You see, that's more determination, right? You see, I think the key point that I want to highlight here is that if the feeling is there, and I mean the real feeling, right? And when I say I mean the real feeling, it's the feeling. But again, I don't want you to confuse it with the emotion. The emotion is driven by need, right? The feeling is driven by love, the real love. You all know what I'm referring to as the real love. The love that is, you know, and if you want a reminder of that, go back to listen to my recording, When Love Becomes Real, which is in the app. So when the feeling is present and you are present to the feeling and you become aware of the feeling, let me make this clear. The willingness is already there. Okay? All you're doing is participating with the willingness. And by participating with the willingness, this is where I say you're saying yes to the feeling. Because the moment you say yes to the feeling, and I don't know how many different truth bumps I talk about this, but I'm going to talk about it again. You're not saying yes to how. You're not saying yes to why. You're saying yes to the feeling. It's just a yes. Like, yes, I acknowledge I feel that, and I acknowledge that is true for me. That's it. Like, people can't say yes typically because they are looking to say yes with their head. Okay, so you're trying to make a decision with your head, which is a half-hearted decision, half head, half heart. But what you need to do is make a wholehearted decision, and it's all heart. So you're just saying yes to the feeling. When you're having a moment where you're making a wholehearted decision, you don't require to know why or how yet. I mean, don't get me wrong. The why and how is important, but it hasn't manifested yet. This is just the seed. Okay, as this seed starts to sprout, you start to see, you start to feel, you start to think, you start to understand the why or the how. You see what I'm saying here? So your ability to say yes to the willingness, to the feeling, is the willingness. So I'll say that again. Your ability to say yes to the feeling, I should say here. Your ability to say yes to the feeling is the willingness. The willingness then comes through you. It sprouts. It sprouts through. And again, I don't know when it happens in time because the feeling is timeless. It's like, don't think, well, when does it sprout straight away? Like you're thinking too much about this. This is a feeling process. It's like, you don't think to yourself, oh, there's the moment I fell in love with this person, with my child. I mean, sure, you might remember a moment, when I first held them, but the feeling was there. It's just because it's timeless. You may remember a moment in time because that's the moment in time you reflect on. But the feeling that's real is timeless. So you don't go, that's the moment. Like don't overthink this. You have a feeling. With that feeling, the willingness is there. You have the ability to say yes to the feeling, not yes to the how or why. Because if you have found yourself saying yes to the why or the how, that usually, and the best way for me to explain this is, if you said yes to the why or how before you said yes to the feeling, you're now fixated or focused on the why or the how. And that's not the feeling. So it's now driven by a head process. All I'm saying to you is that if you can be present enough in this process, when you first feel or become aware of a feeling, a love that you have, if you have the ability to say yes, just say yes, right? Then when the why or the how presents itself, right, you're now driven from that feeling, and the why and the how is just an expression, a channel of how that feeling is being expressed. It's like I was saying, you're expressing it through, your thinking, your understanding, your hearing, your vision. But as you do that, you begin to also understand, oh, this is why this happened, which is not always the case, but it's just, it's like your logical mind, your head needs to understand, why did this happen? It was meant to be. And I'm just saying, sure. Let's just say it was meant to be because of that. And it's a soothing for your head. Your head needs to know it was meant to be. Look at the perfect. All I can say is that it is what it is. The feeling is what it is. And how it then lands into your story, and then you can understand this was meant to be because this is how this unfolded. Or this is how this was meant to unfold. What a brilliant creation. Sure. But don't get too fixated on that. Because the power is on where this actually came from, not how or why. The how and why is just to soothe your head. And all I'm saying to you is that when you're willing, you can't use the how or why. You can't start with it. Later on in the journey, you might understand why or how. But all I'm saying is when you do, that's nice. To me, that's the way I see it. That's nice. Because there is infinite why or hows. And that was just one version of it that you're experiencing. Because even if you get fixated, it was meant to be, it was how, this is how it's meant to happen, or this was meant to happen to me because this then prepared me to I get all that. I totally get it. I get it. And I'm not disregarding all that. But that's still one singular version of what is an infinite version. So all I'm saying is acknowledge the why and how after you've noticed it, but don't get fixated on that. Stay connected with the feeling. So anyway, I'm digressing here a little bit, so I apologize for that. So the feeling is present. You're present with the feeling. You say yes to the feeling. The willingness is there. That's all I'm saying. The difference between willingness and determination is that the willingness is all coming from the feeling, which is internal. Determination is something that you have for something that is already formed, and you're trying to change that form or move that form. I refer to this in the WTF. I say, sometimes in life, what happens is that we have the iceberg, and if you think about the iceberg floating in the ocean, and the iceberg being, let's call it your reality. And what most people do is they're very determined to change their reality, right? And they're determined to do that by, focusing on the reality. And like I say to people, it's like going down in scuba diving gear and, having a chisel or a drill or whatever and changing the shape of your iceberg. That's how most people try to change their reality. In other words, what they're trying to do is change what has been manifested. Okay? And that requires determination. It's already been manifested. Your attention is on the form, so therefore you need determination. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying to you that at some point, what may drop in for you is how real and how profound the feeling really is. And your ability to say yes to the feeling. And when you say yes to the feeling, and you're saying yes to something that is formless. So you're not fixated on the form. You see, I used to say this when I first started talking about manifestation. I said, you can't change what's been manifested. But what you can do is manifest something new, right? And when I used to say that, it's not that you can't change what's manifested. It's just it requires a lot of grit, a lot of determination, a lot of, sweat, hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, they say, right? Or you can find yourself, you can realize who you are, you can, let's just say, acknowledge your feeling. It's your feeling. It's the feeling. The feeling is yours. And when you're using your willingness, it's like you are manifesting a new reality. Now, don't get me wrong. The old reality is there. It's like when someone's painting something, but they can change what they've painted by adding new colors. Sometimes you don't need a brand new canvas. An artist will just add more paint, and they can paint over and add more colors and change the colors. So to me, that's what it's like. It's, the metaphor, if I can stick with this, is like suddenly you, rather than trying to change the shape of the iceberg, you go back to the ocean, the feeling, and you form a new iceberg. Now, don't get me wrong, that iceberg that was there before, which is your reality, is still there. But to change the iceberg, when you're focusing on the iceberg and trying to get a drill under there with your scuba diving gear, and you're like, I'm trying to change my life, and you're trying to change, versus going back to the ocean, the feeling, and the ocean just changes the shape of the reality. That's what I'm talking about. Determination is your attention being on the form. Willingness is when your attention is arising from the formless. That's the difference. One is not better or worse. It's just different. One is for, when you're trying to change or you're fixated on the form. When you're fixated on the form, on what's already been manifested, and you're looking to, push it a bit, change it a little bit, fix, maybe improve, maybe change, that requires determination. Transformation is not about fix, improve, or change. You're transforming it, right? You're not changing it. Transformation. This is why I never even use the word creation. You're manifesting, because creation implies there's two. There's you, or there's the created or the creator, right? And however you see that, and what role you play there, that's up to you. But that's still two. Manifesting says that you are manifesting from what it is. That's why the ocean is manifesting from itself. It's not coming from outside of itself. It's not like the ocean then manifests something from the sky and goes, oh, we met an iceberg. Okay, let's put this iceberg into the ocean. No, that's not the way it happens. It manifests from itself, from within itself, to change the frequency from the ocean to a solid. But that's the same with manifestation. What you're doing is you're manifesting from the feeling, which is the ocean, which is the formless. And that then is manifesting your reality. So that requires your attention to be within you, in your inner. I think Eckhart Tolle calls it your inner field. Maybe it's your, when your attention is outside of you, your attention is on the form. Determination is required. And of course, you're going to look at, what do I want to fix, improve, and change? When your attention is on within you, you are transforming your reality. You're not fixing it. You're not improving it. You're not changing it. And hell, you're not getting rid of anything. It's just transforming. So hence why I use the word transformation. So that's the difference between determination and willingness. Just want to check in to see if there's anything else that I would love to share with you on that. Of course, we will continue these conversations. This is not done. And of course, this topic may be revisited. But I think that's ideal conversation for where we are right now in all these modules. I'll let you know that the longer you're receiving these modules, the deeper I will take it. So I think this is the 14th truth bump. By the time I'm doing the 30th truth bump, for example, we're having a much deeper conversation. But I wouldn't put the truth bump from 14 as the first one, because every little seed is like a piece of the puzzle, and the bigger pieces of the puzzle are given at the beginning, and the more impacting, which is actually, I would call it the smaller one, but some people would think that's the bigger one. Anyway, I'm going on about it. I don't need to, but to me, that's the difference between willingness and determination. And in order to use your willingness, it just requires a yes to the feeling. And the willingness is already there. And if there's anything more I can share about this right now, is that willingness, when I spoke about manifestation being a giving process rather than a receiving process. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not like that you don't receive anything, but you're not fixated on what you can receive. You're fixated on what you can give. And by giving, it's what you're doing is that right there, that feeling when you're saying yes to it, when the willingness, when that begins to move through you, you feel the willingness. It's like you suddenly feel this willingness that you don't even know where it came from. It's almost like it's not yours. It's as the feeling begins to be expressed through your ideas, through all the different ways I just mentioned before. Through your vision, through what you're hearing, through your action, through your inspiration. Like it's the moment it begins to move through you, you feel the willingness, and you just go, wow, I've just got this willingness. You see, it's not that you had to go and create that willingness or build that willingness. The willingness was there. If anything, if you want to pinpoint the point where you're willing, you as being your I guess your participation in the willingness, it's you being willing to say yes to the feeling. That's it. If you are willing to say yes to the feeling, that there will allow the willingness to flow through you. So that's willingness. I hope that lands wherever it needs to land for you. And of course, like always, I recommend listening to these twice. So especially if it's the first time, it went a little bit over your head. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it for today. I will see you guys in the next Truth Bump. Thanks for now. Hey, guys. Well done. You've just completed this video. How do you feel? I'm just here to remind you that in order for me to continue to support you, it's important for you to continue to support this work. Please like this video and also press subscribe, and remember to press the bell icon as well so you get notified every single time I release a video. I'm going to be releasing so much content here that's going to support you. If you're looking for something even more, like you're looking for a community to be part of, some extra support, some extra coaching, you're looking to share your journey with other people, then go ahead and visit my website at amirzoghi.com, and there'll be some information there on how you can be more involved. Also, I read all the comments. I'd love to hear your experience. I want to release these videos for you. I want to support you. I love to see how it's landing for you. What's your experience of the videos? Do you have any questions? So remember to comment below, and I'll be responding to those messages as well. Thanks, guys. I'll see you on the next video.